Hello, Naradat here with another edition of Daily Flip. I think this will be the 11th. Today we're going to be talking about modding and modders. Modding in this community, specifically the concept of modifying a knife for any particular reason. The way I look at it, you got two different types of mods. You got structural mods that are meant to maybe change the dynamics, the balance, you know, the weight balance or the weight distribution across the handles, or shaving some weight off the blade, or stuff that will change the flippability of the knife. So that's kind of like adding a turbo to a sports car, right? So, or maybe upgrading to suspension, right? Like, it's the same idea. And then you got aesthetic mods, which is, you know, ano, or regrinds of the blade, or, you know, different color scales, or I don't fucking know, glow in the dark inlays. So, as you can tell by my sarcastic tone, I was never for the aesthetic mods. So I believe these butterfly knives, Balisongs, are meant to be flipped. So for me, it was all about, always, right from the beginning, always about performance, durability, flippability. So when I found a company that takes all that in mind, you know, you kind of stick to a company that really sticks to the aspects. But speaking about back to modding, the thing is you got a lot of guys out there that mod knives, whether it's aesthetics, whether it's structural, because there's a market, all right? So the butterfly knife market itself, whether it's the aftermarket, you know, like Jersey Devil sales market, or Blade forums, or even on the online, the Facebook now has a sales group. It doesn't really follow the normal laws of supply and demand. Usually when something goes on the market, and then as soon as you buy it, it loses value. Think about when you buy a new car. It doesn't matter if it's a brand new fucking, you know, a brand new Porsche 2017, I don't fucking know. You lose so much of a percentage as soon as you drive it off the lot. No matter what you do, you add to it. Sure, if you add structural stuff, you might bring it up in the value aesthetically as well, but there's a line there where, you know, brand new and then modified, you know, pre-owned. So there is a constant debate in the community about prices of knives that are discontinued, so you can't buy them at all, and knives that are still in production that are going for more than, you know, retail value. You know, the next day it's sold because, you know, some knives are just so hard to get their hands on. Whether or not that inflation is justifiable is a different story. I'm always been an activist for fair Balisong prices. It's just basically the knife value to me never goes up. I mean, if you invest a lot of time and money on the aesthetics of it, the modding of the looks and all that stuff, to me it does add some value at a certain extent. But when you start removing too much material that you can't take your work back, like shaving too much metal off the blade. So when you're fiddling around with blade weight, you're really changing the whole dynamics, right? Because with the handles, you can always do some tuning with you can add or remove washers, take off the latch, put the clip on, do whatever. But the blade is very much balanced and designed to be a certain width and length, and when you fuck around with the blade weight, you literally can't go back. So you remove too much, too bad, so sad, it's gone. So there's a lot of stuff like that with the knife where you got to be careful on who you're giving your knife to. You're giving it to another human being, which is prone. Any human being is gonna fuck up at some point, and it might be on your knife. So another thing about modders nowadays is that how much they're asking for. They're asking rates for labor rates. You know, I understand that if you do nice work, you're gonna charge more, but realistically, how can you justify $150 an hour for an untrained, unqualified person? If you got machinist backgrounds and stuff like that, sure, back yourself up, make a business out of it. But ultimately, modding is taking advantage of a market that's just there for the grab. So you can't blame a modder for appeasing a market, but eventually when your skill level becomes to a certain point, you should be looking at becoming a maker. A modder is just, it's I don't know, like, you're taking other people's work and making it aesthetically pleasing and or maybe performing better. But I don't know modders that strictly do structural and, you know, all focused about making knives better at flipping. I know one guy who thinks he knows. Glary Cleave. You know, making silly mods like adding JB welds and handles, and you know, good hardware is a good step in a good direction, you know, in modding. Although as for the work itself, I know it's a lot of work. I know it takes a lot of practice to do good grinds. I'm not disrespecting modders, because there's some very skilled guys out there that do really good work. Really, as a Balisong owner, you should be able to do your own maintenance, modding, as I would call it level 1 maintenance, like changing the oil in your car. So you should be able to take apart your knife, you should be able to clean your pivots, maybe replace some washers, sand down some washer if it need be. You know, you should be able to, like, I cleaned up my handles, you should be able to use a bit of sandpaper. If you wanted a Krein's blade, a Krein spine, you should be able to do that. It doesn't take that long, right? Like, you just need a bit of elbow grease and do it. Like, I understand if you have a really expensive knife, you don't want to experiment on it. Well, don't fucking experiment on a really expensive knife. Start low, buy some pieces of metal, grind it down, you know. Like, don't start on other people's shit, asking for 150 bucks, and then you realize you don't really have the experience and fuck shit up, and then you're liable, and then you're out of the community. So people who have a name to back them up and experience, great. Be aware of human error, and that a lot of people who deal with a lot of people and get annoyed with the constant, you know, asking and tedious work of fucking with people. So I mean, you just got to be careful who you trust. There's some guys out there that are trustworthy, I guess. But I mean, a modder doing work on a knife, ultimately a lot of guys online are doing it for their work, they're doing it for money. So, you know, the more you add, the more they're going to charge you, right? So the more work you're going to give him, the more work he's going to want to, you know, like, it's just, as a professional, as a contractor who went to school, spent years going back and forth between school, getting my journeyments, I'm getting paid 31 bucks an hour. Okay, so to do a trained labor that I went to school for, considered professional in my trade, and you know, my company who charges me out to someone else, you know, charges me out to other customers for a going rate of, you know, like 125, 130 bucks. So that's with my whole van, my whole tools, you know, everything, right? The whole organism charges that much for one person. So for a modder to ask, you're going to ask $100 for something that takes, you know, a couple hours work, tops, right? Like, for someone that's not qualified, who doesn't, in the comfort of his own home, doing work on his tools, that he might have invested a lot of money. So there's a lot of stuff to consider when you're asking for a price for modding work. And there's a lot of stuff to consider as someone who's getting mod work. Do you really want this work? Do you really want to pay $200 for a reblade for a Balisong that was worth originally $180, you know, retail? That's all up to you, all right? Like the thing with the internet is it gives you so many choices now that you can decide to waste your money away on mod work. Then you go right ahead. Other guys will just stick and flip our knives and enjoy how they are. Make a couple of modifications, maybe to help out with the blade weight, modifying the flippability of it all. I just have weird, I don't know. Modding has always been a thing that I found kind of stupid. People who do it for profit, good on them for utilizing a market that's there, because people love to collect and love to have pretty things in their cases, and they're gonna want to. They're ready to spend a couple more $100s to make a $300-400 knife look even nicer, and then sell it for a profit again, you know, the next day. So to each his own, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Please comment what you think about modding, and do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Do you do not agree with me? Let me know. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you tomorrow.